Hi, my name is Lauren Reese, and this is my contemporary business leader presentation. The leader I chose to interview for this presentation is a close family friend and esteemed leader, Matthew Cheppy. Matt has held a variety of leadership roles throughout his career and continues to display his dedication to ethics and sustainable growth. The organization he works for is the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, also known as ASCU. Matt has held his position as the Managing Director of ASCU Consulting for the last 3 years and works within the higher education field. His list of memberships includes the Society for Advancement of Management and the International Leadership Association. Matt is also a faculty member at Creighton University. With a breadth of experience in higher education and leadership positions, Matt was the ideal candidate for this interview. Matt's leadership style most closely aligns with transformational leadership. Change leadership focused on pursuing the goals of the organization over one's interests. Transformational leaders convey the vision of the organization to their followers and motivate them to help them achieve it. Matt emphasized the need to build a vision and get the team on board with it, along with building a team and supporting their performance. Transformational leaders are known for encouraging their teams to feel confident to take risks and inspire change. One of the primary means of inspiring innovation is through intellectual stimulation, encouraging followers to try new things and challenge the status quo. This is a key part of Matt's role, as he's constantly finding new ways to improve and means of generating revenue and maximizing offerings to current member universities. Matt also holds many qualities of a transformational leader, including adaptability, creativity, proactivity, and willingness to take calculated risks. Matt's use of the transformational leadership style has contributed to his many career achievements and the positive changes that he's implemented to promote growth in the ASCU organization. Matt's greatest career achievement was turning a dying operation into a successful growing team of consultants. Within 3 years, Matt transformed a department of only 5 people into 42 consultants, producing 105% more revenue with a net margin growth of 350%. In hiring consultants for the new team, Matt prioritized diversity and ensured that the new team had a mix of skills, races, genders, backgrounds, and roles. He was also able to develop new service lines and increase the value and quality provided to all members without raising any membership costs. All the revenues that were generated were able to be reinvested into efforts for future improvements to continue to deliver the best possible value to clients. Matt primarily used entrepreneurialism and change leadership to assess the higher education field and determine where the gaps were. These efforts required a great deal of strategic planning, developing and carrying out a comprehensive vision, organizational restructuring and hiring, and strict financial management. In accomplishing this major achievement, Matt exemplified many of the qualities of a servant leader. His highest scores on the Likert scale were for persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, and interest in building community. Conceptualization is a necessary skill for developing a comprehensive vision for organizational change, while foresight is vital to predicting risks and market trends, then developing a strategic plan. Persuasion is a tool used for gathering support and bringing the vision to life, motivating the teams to continue to innovate and produce quality work. The last of these skills, an interest in building community, relates directly to Matt organically growing the team of consultants and creating a community that encourages diversity, equity, and inclusion by celebrating everyone's unique strengths and backgrounds. Second to these scores included awareness, which is necessary to determine the root causes of the problem, and listening, a critical skill for problem solving and team building. Building and nurturing the growth of a team also required a great deal of healing and stewardship to care for the employees and ensure that their needs were met. Lastly, empathy and commitment to the growth of people were used occasionally, mostly because Matt focused more on building up the team rather than managing the status quo. Matt's biggest challenge in this position was integrating ASCU Consulting with ASCU as a whole and getting all the vice presidents on board. The organization is a nonprofit organization that lacks a marketing team or formal back office to support operations. This required Matt to be a change champion and use both technology and outsourcing to gather the necessary skills and resources to bolster the organization's operations. Getting the vice presidents on board with the changes required many candid conversations and influence to get a seat at the table for ASCU Consulting. Matt worked hard to overcome the lack of support and to prove that the consulting department can generate revenues and provide great value to member associations if it's managed properly. With so many organizations attempting to do higher education consulting, Matt had to reestablish Askew Consulting's position in the market and convey the value of their services to organizations that were undergoing budget cuts. While Matt acted as both a leader and a manager in this situation, he leaned most into the leadership role to achieve objectives. Leaders create a vision and convey that to stakeholders to gather support for initiatives, which can be seen in Matt's pitch for integration. He had to create a comprehensive strategic plan for how the company would reestablish itself in a competitive market and inspire others to support his efforts. Matt exhibited a great deal of consideration by prioritizing the needs of both member associations and the organization, then establishing mutual trust and respect with Askew's leaders. Overall, this challenge required a great deal of leadership in developing a vision for change and finding creative ways to exceed the organization's goals. Similar to the biggest achievement, Matt utilized persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, and interest in building community in order to overcome these issues. Matt had not only to persuade leaders to follow his vision, but to conceptualize a vision that would capture their interest and utilize foresight to develop a legitimate strategic plan for penetrating the market. Matt had to build a community that would support each other's interests and foster mutually beneficial relationship with organizations' leaders. He often had to determine awareness of market trends, demands, and competitor strategies to find a competitive advantage in the market. Occasionally, Matt acted as a steward leader to champion the organization's mission, vision, and strategy. His candid conversations often involved actively listening to the concerns of others and fostering the growth of the organization. This challenge incorporated healing and empathy the least, as he was not focused as much on individual concerns but the future of the organization. Matt utilized both legitimate and referent power bases to achieve his desired outcomes. He was given the formal authority to make decisions that would position the company better in the competitive market. Some of these actions included outsourcing talent and using technology to bolster the value of consulting services for the member associations. However, referent power was also essential to sustaining positive relationships and a solid reputation to gather buy-in. Matt was constantly networking to garner support and find opportunities for the company to advance in the market. He also used expert power to influence the vice presidents because he spent countless hours studying market data and trends to determine the best strategies to keep the company competitive and profitable, demonstrating his valuable knowledge on the subject matter. Matt was able to successfully use these power bases to gather the necessary resources to fully integrate Askew Consulting with the organization and increase value for members while maintaining competitive pricing. The famous leader who I chose to study is Salman, also known as Sal Khan, the founder of Khan Academy. Sal is a natural-born leader who was class president for a senior class at MIT and Harvard Business School. His entrepreneurial spirit and ideas led him to identify gaps in the educational studies of students across the globe. Khan Academy is one of the most well-known, successful nonprofit educational businesses today, and Sal continues to find ways to supplement students' education to help them understand the material and assist teachers in attending to students' needs. Khan Academy's mission statement is a free world-class education for anyone, anywhere, which demonstrates the leader's dedication to serving students across the globe. Sal continues to show his commitment to the growth of the organization using diagnostic feedback and maximizing the value for his followers while maintaining a free service. Running a nonprofit company of this scale can be difficult to maintain, but Sal mentioned the social return on investment of the company and how the mission of the organization will hopefully continue to draw the attention of philanthropic investors, so he can focus on how to help others rather than on funding. While both Matt and Sal work in the education industry, they take different approaches on how they help their organizations maintain profitability. Matt's transformational leadership style is integral to producing change and influencing stakeholders to adopt the organization's goals. This approach motivates employees to go above and beyond expectations, promotes fair treatment and rewards for employees, and develops a clear vision that conveys value to stakeholders. However, some of the weaknesses of this style include less structured pathways to goal achievement, higher standards of employee achievement that can lead to burnout, and slow decision-making when waiting on team input. While this style has been effective in the short run for Matt, he should consider adapting his leadership style as conditions change long-term. Sal's leadership style aligns most closely with servant leadership, putting the needs of others over his own interests. Khan Academy is founded on the idea of promoting the growth and well-being of others at no cost to students, a philosophy similar to servant leadership ideals. This leadership style creates a relationship of mutual trust and respect between the leader and their followers, incorporates a shared vision for the organization, and allows the opinions of others to be shared freely. Some weaknesses of the approach include less rapid decision-making, cultural shifts within the organization that are difficult to navigate, and staff being overwhelmed with responsibilities. Matt and Saul share some commonalities in the way that they treat their employees with respect, reliance on a reputation and strong organizational vision, and high expectations for themselves and their teams to create and deliver the best value to stakeholders. The mission of ASKU is to provide representation and effectively advocate for higher education institutions to receive funding from Congress. Their vision is to be the premier resource for consulting services in the higher education industry. ASKU's corresponding strategy is to expand services and value to members and provide additional opportunities for member engagement. The entrepreneurial mindset is essential to generate revenue in a way that could fund the organization's strategy, programs, and services to maintain low membership fees and retention of current member institutions. This idea is consistent with Matt's responses on the Likert scale, with 7 of the entrepreneurial skills being used constantly. To continue to stay profitable, Matt needs to have a moderately high propensity for taking risks with a tolerance for ambiguity and openness to new experiences to foster innovation. His position calls for a leader with a strong need to achieve and generalized self-efficacy to push through challenges and barriers and believe in one's abilities. Candid conversations require a great deal of extroversion and a positive attitude to maintain a solid reputation with the organization's leaders. Matt is very proactive when finding ways to gain competitive advantages and has an unfaltering work ethic. The role often requires him to have an internal locus of control and emotional stability to believe in himself and take control of the organization's outcomes. Conscientiousness keeps him grounded and establishes a standard of care and diligence. Occasionally, the position does require autonomy to make decisions without the constant pressure of others and agreeableness to gather trust. A great deal of Matt's work in the director position requires the entrepreneurial mindset. Leaders must have the ability to not only establish a comprehensive vision of what they expect for the organization in the future, but also to gather support from critical stakeholders. Without stakeholder support, strategic plans may never even get put into action. Leaders must be able to influence others to follow their lead and believe in the vision that they have produced. Another key competency is being able to make and own decisions. This is similar to the concept of autonomy, meaning the leader can make decisions without being influenced. Taking ownership of these decisions means holding oneself accountable and taking responsibility if a project fails. Not every risk is going to be a successful venture, and leaders need to acknowledge their faults and own the decisions they make to set a healthy standard for their employees. Lastly, leaders need to have adaptability, always staying flexible to new changes in the work environment. With a constantly changing market, leaders need to learn how to adapt to their surroundings and find ways to stay relevant. For example, Matt stayed adaptable by incorporating new technology and prioritizing diversity to develop a more comprehensive consulting team and meet the needs of the changing field of higher education. These are just a few of the many competencies that a leader needs to stay successful in today's market. I chose to interview Matt Sheppy because he has been a role model for me throughout my life and has continued to provide useful professional advice. He also has extensive experience in the higher education and business fields. Saul Khan similarly has contributed to the education field and continues to serve as a role model to educational innovators globally. Both leaders work within nonprofits and provide necessary education to all at little or no cost. The spirit of innovation and leadership is strong in both individuals, as is evident through their work progress. During the interview, I faced no major challenges, as I did my best to mitigate these before the meeting. For example, one of the potential challenges could be the lack of preparation, leading to decreased quality of responses. This was navigated by providing the sample questions to the interviewee 24 hours ahead of time, so he could think through examples of potential challenges or achievements in his career. The follow-up questions I asked were used to clarify responses or expand upon them to gather more in-depth information. For example, I asked Matt what his specific role is within ASKU and the other organizations that he's affiliated with. I also asked more about the competition in the higher education industry and the types of challenges they have been facing within the market lately. These questions all contributed to a more in-depth interview that provided further details than what would have been gathered with the basic interview questions. This project and the interview I did with Matt taught me so much about being an effective leader. I've learned that leaders today need to more than ever be proactive and think with an entrepreneurial mindset to stay relevant. It takes skill, courage, influence, and a solid reputation to develop a vision and strategic plan, gather support, and put it into action. Being a champion of change and taking matters into your own hands is critical to fostering innovation. Matt left me with a final piece of advice that will always stick with me. When you're having to affect change, you may want to get everybody on board, but sometimes if you wait too long, you're going to miss your opportunity. You must gather your coalition of the willing, and at some point, the train has to leave the station. It can't wait forever. The entrepreneurial mindset requires us to seize the opportunity while it lasts, rather than waiting for everyone to agree and potentially missing out. I'm thankful for all that I learned from completing this presentation and will take these lessons with me into my future career. Thank you.